The old school RuneScape high scores. There's thousands of entrants on it, logs for everything, from skills to clue scrolls to bossing, and of the permanent high scores, the hardcore Ironman variant is by far the rarest place to find an account. There's several bosses with just a couple of entrants on it, but when this journey started, there was only one boss that had 0 accounts on its high scores, and that was the Corrupted Gauntlet. The Corrupted Gauntlet is largely agreed upon as some of the hardest, most dangerous PvM content in RuneScape. There's no team that can carry you, no combo food, and of course, no panic teleport. For that reason, I set out to put my name on top of the high scores. But shortly after I started my journey, this happened.
Wow. I'm a dumbass.
And so, with Alfie set on revenge, and myself aiming for a spot on the Corrupted Gauntlet's high scores, we decided to have a race, both putting up $100 to whoever's hardcore would claim the Corrupted Blade of Salador first. This is Hardcore Iron Man, Race for the Blade. So, first of all, what is the Blade of Salador, and why are we racing for that? Well, the Blade of Salador requires 75 attack to wield, and is the best in slot slash weapon behind only the Scythe of Vitor. It's obtained through either a 1 in 400 drop rate at the Corrupted Gauntlet, or a 1 in 2000 drop in the normal Gauntlet. Upon its release, the blade consumed charges as you used it, making it just a slightly better Abyssal Tentacle. However, in April of 2020, the start of our journey, it was given a non-degradable Corrupted variant. To corrupt it, you need 1,000 crystal shards. Another drop from the Gauntlet, behaving similarly to Zulrah scales, only dropped in a much fewer amount, about 5 to 9 per 10-minute kill. So, even with perfect RNG, getting a blade on 1 KC and 9 shards every kill, you're still looking at 111 kills, or just over 17 hours of some of the most dangerous content in RuneScape. Now, if you receive the blade on drop rate, you're looking instead at a 67-hour grind just to use the Blade of Salador. Now, while actually getting the blade is its own journey, getting to the Gauntlet is another story to tell. The Gauntlet is locked behind Song of the Elves, the final quest in the Elven questline, which is one of the longest in Old School. The requirements to get there are fairly high, at level 70 for all of the following skills: Agility, Construction, Farming, Herblore, Hunter, Mining, Smithing, and Woodcutting. However, there's more to it than just those skills. The final boss, the Fragment of Surin, has fairly high combat stats, and an attack that deals equal to the player's max health -1, so overhealing food, such as anglerfish or brews, are essentially required. Also, because of its weakness to magic, Blood Blitz for healing or a Trident for DPS are also highly advised. So you are either required to have 87 Slayer on an Iron Man or 80 Magic just to have access to enter the Gauntlet. Now for the Gauntlet itself. The Gauntlet is divided into 2 parts: the Gathering of Supplies and the Boss Fight. During the Gathering phase, your goal is to gather armor, food, as well as obtain a pair of Tier 3 weaponry. The Tier 3 weapons are dropped from demi-bosses that randomly spawn around the map. There's a dragon that drops what will become a staff, a dark beast that drops what will become a bow, and a bear that drops what will become a halberd. For armor, it's made from collecting materials around the map via mining, woodcutting, and farming. And food is collected via fishing and cooking. Now, while to my knowledge there's no requirement to collect materials, the fish gathered can be burnt until a decent cooking level, so high cooking is suggested. Next up, the boss fight. The boss, the Crystal Huntleaf, is killable with any of the 3 combat styles and requires at least 2. The optimal style is determined by what demi-bosses you kill in the gathering stage. It's suggested to have at least 90 in the stats you plan on using, so 90 in magic and range, as well as near 90 for both attack and strength. The minimum prayer level for the boss is going to be 40 for protect from range, however it's highly suggested to not only have piety, but also rigor and augury for optimal DPS, which is going to require 77 prayer. So, the actual requirements for the entire gauntlet are a high cooking level, an arcane prayer scroll, a dexterous prayer scroll, 77 prayer, and 90 combats. With the requirements laid out, it's now time to actually get to the gauntlet. Alfie said that the best route would be to quest to Barrow's Gloves and Dragon Slayer 2, all while raising Slayer, doing farming runs for both farm and herblore levels, as well as birdhouse runs for hunter levels. Then, continue doing Slayer until 87 for not only the trident, but decent combat stats as well. Then, go to Chambers of Zarek for prayer scrolls, and finally, you're off to Song of the Elves and the Gauntlet for the Blade. I had a different plan. Now, it is worth mentioning that neither my account nor Alfie's were made after Alfate's death. In fact, both were made prior. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact stats that either account would have had at the start of the race. But, after scrolling through the RuneLight screenshots that happen at the end of every level, I found this image. In reality, the stats for my account were probably closer to about right here. On the other hand, Alfie's account, now named Alficiency, sat a little lower in total levels, about right here. However, I didn't have much of a head start. Alficiency had already had full Graceful as well as a decent cash stack, while I only had okay skilling stats and some Wintertodt crates to open up. And so, the first step for my account in the race was to get my agility up. After about level 35 or so, I decided to head down to the Agility Pyramid to skip the early game courses, as well as earn some cash. In retrospect though, I should have waited for full Graceful. At about level 50 or so, I decided it's time to actually grind out Graceful, so I went over to Canifis for my Graceful grind. That grind brought me over to Seer's Village, where I finally finished full Graceful at 70 agility. A good place to end, as it also happens to be one of the 8 skill requirements for Song of the Elves. With Graceful out of the way, there was one more thing I needed to do before combat training and questing, and that was Wintertodt. With low HP, you take less damage at Wintertodt, so it's best to get it out of the way early. Hopefully this would be in and out really quick, as the only thing I wanted from Wintertodt was the magic logs for Desert Treasure. Unfortunately, we were there until 87 fire making, which is roughly a 15-hour grind for magic logs. Anyways, after getting those magic logs, it was finally time to get into the actual early game grind of the account: questing. Our first step will be completing Underground Pass, then we'll use the Iban's staff we get to Iban's Blast some blue dragons for their bones. We're gonna grind those up on the Ectofungus until we're able to use Protect from melee. While we grind those up, we do Ghosts Ahoy, and then get ready to stop some monkey business. Then, once we throw Glow in jail, we go out for a pub crawl to celebrate. Afterwards, we beat up a pair of water dogs in Horror from the Deep, then go look for some desert treasure. To follow that up, we complete Hero's Quest, start the journey to become a legend, only to grab some vanilla and turn around. With all that done, I free a bunch of people from the Chef Ghost and fight him. After we emerge victorious, I grab some gloves from his secret stash. Now, for the final grind before Piety, we have to go down to Shiloh Village. Shiloh Village? Shiloh Village. Anyways, we head down here and just have to do one small favor and we'll be on our way. It's only one small favor, right? Okay, well that was a lot to do in just a few days. Time for a quick stat check-in. Here's mine on the left and Alfie's on the right. As the early game is pretty similar, both accounts have Barrow's Gloves, Full Graceful, Ancient Magics, as well as Fighter Torsos. While I have a few levels in fishing and fire making, Alfie had more money, thieving, slayer, and combat stats. The next big goal for both accounts would be Lunar Diplomacy and Dream Mentor, followed up by Slayer for Monkey Madness 2. Alfie got that Slayer requirement and finished the quest on about the 20th day of the race. Meanwhile, I was still only at 60 Slayer and had a lot of ground to cover. And while at this point I knew I couldn't beat Alfie in the hours played department, I hoped to beat him in another way. See, while he was doing Dragon Slayer 2, I was going to skip Slayer post Monkey Madness 2, and go straight into magic bursting as well as chinning for the stats to go complete the gauntlet. And while we both planned on getting to the end of the race soon, Jagex had another plan on the horizon. Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for making it to the end of the video. This is the first time that I've ever done anything even remotely like this, so let me know what I need to do differently in the comments. Also, there'll be 2 more Hardcore Iron Man episodes coming out over the next few weeks, so feel free to subscribe to get notified when they go live. Anyways, the story is actually still happening, and once the video series catches up, if you guys would like to watch it live, I do stream 5 days a week over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/TheRealistFrenchie, and there will be a link down in the description. Also, big thanks to Alfie for letting me not only use his clips, but joining in on the race as well. He's a great streamer, and you guys can find him in the description at twitch.tv/Alfie. See ya.